41 today and I took a nap. I had woken up earlier and I actually didn't want this, but my mom gave me this as a Christmas gift. I actually don't celebrate Christmas as everyone does since like 2000 and probably since I was born. I don't know, it's just not I just don't know. I'm just used to like knowing Muslims don't celebrate for a certain reason, and it's just like a thing to me that I should not celebrate because some people don't. I would like to, but at the same time, I just don't really understand why Muslims don't, so I still need to learn about why they don't. And I said I was going to raise my children as Muslims if I ever had got married. And I also believe in Judaism because my ancestors are Jewish and I look like a Jewish, so. And my parents were both different religions. My dad's was Catholic, my mom's family was Christianity, so my dad converted into a Christian and he's been a pastor ever since I was born. And so because of my mom, we were born into a Christian home, but I never really believed in just one religion that is for God or that loves God as same as Christian people do. I understand they're probably the most how do you call it when they just like don't do anything like outside of like just praising God, and they're very like strict on what they do. They don't curse and anything like that. I wanted my own religion too, so I just like one day I was just driving with my husband and we were just hanging out, and I don't know how it just came to me, but I thought of something, and that morning I was reading a book of a bunch of what do you call those little godly quotes with advice? Well, I was reading a little book that my mom had gave me, and I just thought like, wow, this looks really different how this is spelled right here, and it reminded me of how I've always wanted to have a certain religion for everyone, not just certain people that do believe in God, but they don't believe it if you're like gay or bisexual or you curse or you have a gun at home or just anything that is outside of Christianity. And then I just thought of these letters put together, and then I started handwriting, and then it just it's like it almost just came about on its own, forming the own letters on its own. And yeah, it was kind of unknown that it happened that day, that I think of it like, wow, I should start this religion today. This has a bunch of little verses. So I guess throughout all of it, it's gonna have verses. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's what the thing is. Alright. I do like to read the Bible. I like having a Bible. I like reading like little quotes that are like happy and make you feel good. I think they're kind of cool. Like I was saying, like with how I had once heard in my room that I didn't know was cyber stalking then. I had heard once that like one day like a ghost would talk to me, but in my brain I'm like, no, ghosts are not real, so what the heck, that's not true, whatever. I ignored it. Next thing you know it, a spiritual voice will talk to you, and I'm like, oh wow, that's cool, what's spiritual voice, just thinking about it. And it was like, spiritual voice is like your ancestors or something. What's ancestors? Like old people that died that are in your family. And I could just like see a little picture like of a skin tone colored Indian. And anyways, so that's not imagination, everyone. That's a Batman light now that I know. But anyways, so like this whole entire time, it's just like today is not the same. Back in 2018, when I had just got that job at Fairfield Inns in Pecos, Texas, and I was learning about cybersecurity, I was just like, what in the world? I know what hacking is, and this whole entire time I'm hearing, no, don't let her look that up, she's gonna know. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, I always knew that I was like hearing something, and they were on to me, like they knew that I was hearing someone. So I would get still confused, and next thing you know, I open up the book, and then it's just cybersecurity. I look it up, and I don't know why I looked it up, how I looked it up, because I was gonna look it up either way. But then I look it up, and then I'm like, wait a minute, and I stop. I just pretend like I don't even understand it, and I suddenly like just never mind it. And ever since then I was just like, yeah, I kind of know what this is, but it's like if I know something about it, they're gonna be upset about it, so I'm just gonna not look into it too much. But one thing led to another, and I got up one day out of my bed, and I was just like, alright, I know enough now. I know that I'm not tripping out, and I'm hearing somebody, and I know what is going on now, and I can't hide it anymore because I'm thinking about it repeatedly, and it's like as if finally the house was quiet enough, and I got up and I went to a storage room outside in the backyard, like a shed kind of, and I got a piece of wood out, and I got a spray can, and I wrote it on there, something like, stop cyber stalking, our brains don't think out loud. And that's just how I just came about like this whole entire thing. It got like way different when I moved here to my place now that I'm at, because I didn't know that my house could be bugged until someone told me not so long ago, like in the beginning of 2023, like, don't you notice something different? Even with our phones off, like, you still hear them talking. She's like, what are you talking about? So no, I still haven't looked into it, and I keep saying I'm going to, but I'm just like a little bit tripped out about like finally finding out that I have a stalker. So, and stalkers, I mean, not just one. And then so when I went and did that in Pecos, Texas, that led to me starting like finding out more things on Instagram. And then I moved here, and then I didn't know about the place being bugged, but it was very different. My husband wasn't here. It was just me and my first son, and it was very different. I did not know what was going on. But I already had told myself, I had like an idea that I would have like a little t-shirt company, and I would just like write little things on the shirt that I would think of that reminded me of like when I didn't know that this whole entire thing was cyber stalking that they were doing. And that didn't work out, because next thing you know, I lost everything. And it had happened to me before that I had lost things like that I had written, and then I realized that when my window was found open, that maybe when they were coming inside of my house, that they weren't only doing what they wanted to do by coming inside of my house and going into the room I was sleeping in and going into other rooms that were here and possibly taking my things. So I went to go take a Zane exam, probably after a little while after that, around that time, because I thought that something was different. And I got an incident report about like a year ago now, like almost like a year ago, and I was like, what's going on here? And like, I guess it came back positive that, I had been abused and I wasn't aware of it. So I'll leave that to the side because I still don't know nothing about it, and I still don't want to. The police know about it, they have information, and that's up to them, not up to me, because that's what I was told. If you receive an incident report and you want to come down to the office and find out if they did something, then you can. And I wanted to, because, someone for what they did coming inside of my house and abusing of me should go to jail or just get killed. And I've talked about this before, because I think that if a guy is abusing of a woman, a girl, a little girl, any type of person, a boy, anyone, that they should get killed. Because I can just imagine like how much rape has happened. And back in those days, I talked about this earlier, about how their homes would get intruded and their husbands would get killed and they would get raped. So I thought about it, like, why would you want to keep that same type of in history, in sociology, in those types of subjects, you learn about how history happened and what happened. And then they also have this social experiment where, nowadays it's not like you're killing off that certain type of breed. That's for animals, and that doesn't even happen with them. But what happened at Gaza was as if that's what they were doing. So to me, in my head, how I'm thinking about it, if even now, whoever is going from the United States to over there is almost okay with this, what is really going on? Like, it seems as if it's capitalism, but it seems as if little by little this place is propaganda at times, but as if it's turning into a totalitarian state. So when I learned that, I was just like, what would be a better state? Monarchy would probably be a better state for this country, because they need protection. There's a lot of people that their homes are getting intruded, and I would have never known if I wouldn't have got up as fast as I did, scared, walking over and just checking my rooms and noticing that the window is still open. So yeah, there's a lot that I've been thinking about ever since like I found out who was my stalker, like celebrities nowadays, and how they get close to presidentry and the White House, and how close they want to be to just get away with whatever they're doing, right? Whatever they're getting away with already, because I would have never known that I'd got abused if I would have never took that Zane exam. And I knew about this because back in November 2021, when I had just moved here, my son had got food poisoning and I had as well. And I told him, you need to check his system because he is not eating correctly anymore. Today, and this has been since November, I saved the water, but January is when he started having these like bad effects and he couldn't sit down, his stomach was hurting, he wasn't able to use the restroom correctly. And this is when I started like being a little bit more cautious about like what was going on in the house. And the window was already found open, and I needed the window is secure, by the way, but it closes, it has its lock and everything, but I had to put like wood barriers on it just so that I can be more safe, that no one comes inside of the window. So then I take him to the hospital and I ask for a Zane exam, and they're like, no, he doesn't need one. And actually, one of my cousins that is a police officer, his wife experienced the same thing at this hospital right here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's called Medical Memorial Center. Okay, well then, she had gone in and her baby was sick. Randomly got sick, and she went to go check him out, and he had a fever, and they didn't want to do anything for him, and she was upset, and she took him to another hospital, and then they finally told her like something was going on with him. I think she either took him back to another hospital or she went back to the same one, and then she took him back to another hospital because they weren't doing anything for her there. And then they found out that he was sick. I was kind of like, wow, because they did that same to me, but it's more crazier that I would look as if I live more in poverty because I don't have anyone there that is like, with me. I just look like I'm a young girl with my son tripping out. And yes, of course I am, because that's my little son, that's my little baby. Why in the world would I be so calm about if he can't even sit down? So after that, what happened was horrible, but I don't really like to remember those times and what happened after that, because what I experienced was really, really sucky. It sucked a lot.